As we come to the close of this calendar year for the liturgy, we hear readings about how we should look upon the connection between the life we live now and the life that we're called to for all eternity. And the image that we are given is that we should look upon this life as though we are preparing to go to a wedding feast. It is striking that the Bible, in fact, is framed by a wedding feast. There is the joining of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis, and in the book of Revelation we hear about the wedding feast of the Lamb that will be celebrated at the end of time. And Jesus even begins his ministry in the Gospel of John at Cana, performing his first miracle. What is it about preparing for a wedding that maybe helps us understand how we should look upon our lives as we prepare to transition from this life to the next? We see, first of all, that the wise maidens, the bridesmaids who are there to welcome the groom, have invested, have taken time to prepare themselves. And that preparation has involved being generous. They're all prepared because they were generous. We know ourselves when we go to a wedding, we think about what gift is most appropriate, and we make a sacrifice in order to be a part of that celebration through our gift, and we prepare in so many other ways. It is important for us to keep that in mind as well. Cultivating a sense of generosity in our hearts during our life prepares us for the life to come. In fact, the early fathers of the church took this image of the oil in the lamps and said that it really was a symbol of charity, of generosity to those who were in need. So the more that we cultivate in our hearts, not a stinginess, a selfishness, but a generosity of spirit, the more we are preparing for the life to come. But there's something else we see in this text from the Gospel of Matthew today, and it is that those foolish virgins who did not have oil came late at night and were not allowed into the wedding feast. Why was that? That one line is so revealing. The Master says, "I do not know you. I do not recognize you." And he does not recognize them because they were not there when he came by, or also because they did not have lights in their lamps in order to reflect on their face so he could see them. It is our prayer in which we allow the Lord to see us that's so important in our preparation in this life. That is what prayer is about. It's with sitting with the Lord. It's about sitting with the Lord and letting him see in the depths of our hearts, sometimes in just quiet meditation, allowing him to see the depths of our sufferings, our difficulties, our challenges in life, not necessarily always bringing things to the Lord that we need, but letting him see us as we are. You know, there was a change in the art world around the year 1000. Up until that point, Christian art was a matter of icons which looked at us. And then when we begin to see humanism develop, those saints were put in the backdrop of a scene in which they were the object rather than the subject. I think it's important for us sometimes to recapture the great art of icons. If you look at an icon, you'll see that the eyes follow you. It is a way of living, being reminded that we live in the gaze of God, not as a God who accuses us, who condemns us, but a God who wants to see in the depths of our hearts. And that happens in prayer. So today, as we hear about how we prepare for the life yet to come, how we should look upon this life, two messages are clear. Cultivate a spirit of generosity in our hearts, especially to those who are in need. But also take time for prayer, simply to let the Lord gaze into our hearts to see what we need, and in that way be consoled. That is the best way for us to live our lives as Christians, seeing it as preparing as we go to the great wedding feast that God has prepared.